Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about Destry Smith. Now that feels really weird to say. I feel like we are going back in time because truly I felt like I talked about this person like a billion years ago, and then I checked, and if I recall correctly, I made more than one video, the last one being a year ago, and then there was one prior to that still. Time has frozen, don't know what to tell you. Anyway, Captain Destry Smith has been on the timeline once more. I thought I would never have to hear about them again. However, the bad news does not stop. Therefore, here we are again. I will be inserting some clips from my older videos just to give you a summary of what this person has been accused of. First TikTok that I came across has actually been deleted, and I came across it before I was aware of what exactly was going on, so I didn't have time to save it. I'm sure it's re-uploaded it somewhere, but it's by this TikToker named Your Girl Adri. Basically, he got a TikTok where she was calling him out, taken down, and there are other TikToks about Destry allegedly on her page, but she didn't name him. So there's this TikTok that I'm gonna put here that many think is about Destry. So that TikTok was allegedly about him. Then there was another TikTok where people were essentially wondering whether he spoke to minors as well.
Hi, no hate to this comment right here. I just kind of want to talk about why I've been torn about saying who this is, because the only reason I've even thought about him is I saw one of his videos on my For You page. I was like, holy shit, this was a YouTuber that I'd been following since I was 12. His entire fan base is young girls, because he was cute, and the only thing I'm gonna say is he's emo. And I had gotten in contact with him because he had put his Snapchat up on Twitter late at night and said that it was for any of his fans who he wanted to talk to. He was bored, whatever, motherfucker. And so we talk, and not really talk, he hits on me, and he's like, oh, I'm hard in the room with the guy I used to film videos with, and it was just very kind of childhood ruining, because he was my first crush ever, and to know that he was totally comfortable using me. But is that wrong? That's where it comes in. Is that necessarily?
Now basically, because of her TikTok, someone named Nate, who was friends with Destry for, I think it was 14 years. He says it in the TikTok, so you'll see. This person named Nate talks about the fact that he saw Destry being sketchy. Now, I'm gonna just preface, what Nate says isn't the worst of all of this. Not to say that one thing is more important than the other, but Nate's account is of Destry being a liar and shady and a cheater. I'm gonna put those 4 TikToks, because there are 4 parts of Nate talking about his experience with Destry here.
Okay. So, I want to start out by saying that if you haven't seen this TikTok, you need to go watch it. And I'll link the person's @ in the description. If you don't watch it, this TikTok is not going to make a whole lot of sense, so go watch it. Just want to say that this is probably going to take multiple parts, so bear with me. I also need to say that this is pretty hard for me to make, so sorry if it's all jumbled up and doesn't make sense. With this TikTok coming out, I feel like it's time for me to step forward and validate these people who are all in the comments and all these other people that have experiences with stuff like this happening. I'm not out for blood here, and I don't want to cause more damage than what's already been done, but there's a quote that goes, "The only thing necessary for evil to win is for good people to do nothing." This is part 2, so make sure that you watch part 1. Just to talk a bit about my own experience, I've been friends with Destry since 2003, and I stopped being friends with him in 2017. So basically I've known him for 14 years. I can't really speak about things that he's done to other people because it's not my place to bring up potentially traumatic experiences for other people. But what I can tell you is why I personally quit being his friend. And again, there is so much more than just this one thing that happened. I also want to give a little bit of a disclaimer that all of the people that I'm about to talk about have given me permission to talk about this. This is part 3, so make sure that you watch part 1 and part 2. So this story involves me, Destry, his girlfriend at the time, Amber, and Evie Davis. So in 2017, I became friends with Evie, and shortly after that, I told Destry that I was interested in dating her. And what Destry had told me was that he broke up with his girlfriend Amber and was already dating Evie. And he was telling his girlfriend Amber at the time that the only reason he was talking to Evie was because he wanted to hook her up with me. Long story short, I contacted Amber, who was out of state visiting her parents, and I asked her how her and Destry were doing. She told me that he was telling her that he missed her and that he couldn't wait for her to come home. And that's when his whole web of lies came crumbling down. This is part 4, so make sure you watch 1, 2, and 3 before this. As for the other things that he's done, I've met a handful of people who have shared their experiences with me. And I think that the sad and scary thing is that we've probably only scratched the surface of the things that he's done. Anyways, after all that happened, I was just so disgusted by all of the lying and the cheating that I have not spoken a single word to Destry since. I also want to say that my heart goes out to all the people who have been affected by him. Trust me, I know how it feels. Leaving my best friend of 14 years was probably one of the hardest things I had to do, but it was a choice I had to make to be in integrity with myself. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to everyone listening.
But I just want to say it gets a lot worse than someone being basically a piece of shit by cheating and lying. So this already kind of sets up Destry as someone not really to be trusted. Now, of course, everyone makes errors in judgment. Everyone at some point lies. However, for me, cheating is just something that isn't just a mistake. I'm very black and white with that, but that's another topic. But regardless, after that, someone stitched their video with Nate, and this person actually experienced a really inappropriate kind of relationship with Destry. So this young woman essentially alleges that Destry started talking to her when she was 12 or 13, but she had told him she was 14, and he allegedly was in his 20s already. So her lying obviously was not a good thing, but regardless of whether she was 12, 13, or 14, no man in his 20s should be flirtatious with you or asking you for photos or be in a quote-unquote relationship with you. Like, none of that should be happening with a 12, 13, 14, and then, well, until someone's 18, really, that shouldn't be happening with someone who's well into their 20s. So I'll put what she said here.
Okay, so I want to start out by saying that if you haven't seen this
So, I really didn't ever want to come forward about this because every time I wanted to, I just felt so many emotions and so many traumatic memories surface. And for a long time, I really held on to hope that he was a good person deep down and that he just made mistakes and that he would change. And then some friends of mine, some good friends of mine, basically came forward to me and told me about a lot of other things that he had done. And it just kind of solidified the fact that he's a fucked up person and he has been a pedophile. I don't know if he still is a pedophile, but he has definitely been one. And I can't live with the fact that he still has such a huge platform and so many people have been affected negatively by him, and there seems to be no retribution or no repercussions on his career, and it's fucked up. Part 2 is coming soon. So, just to confirm, to anyone wondering, when I was 13, I discovered Destry, or I was probably 12, and when I was 13, I started messaging him on Twitter, and he started replying. And we exchanged, like, flirty messages, and then I sent him like nudes and stuff, like pictures of my butt. And then I eventually, like a month later, I think I told him, I feel bad, like I'm actually only 13 or 14. I think I lied and said I was 14, but still, it doesn't matter if I was 13, 14, or 15. It's fucking disgusting for a 20-year-old man, to receive nudes from a teenage girl, not an 18-year-old girl, a fucking child. And to offer to fly me out, to stay with him, to have sex with him. I wasn't gonna be there to fucking play Jenga. We ended up talking pretty much every day for a while. And I was young and naive, so I thought that I was special to him. I thought we were, like, on our way to boyfriend-girlfriend, and I had fantasies, like, I had watched him for so long that I would like stare at his face and just be like, oh my god, I want to marry him, I want to be with him, I want to be like the one girl that's so special that he chooses me, and like we live happily ever after together. Anyways, so I started to think that this is where this was going. No. Because I went on his Twitter and his likes, and I started finding other girls that were making it seem like he was in a relationship with them. And upon further investigation and talking to these girls, they were like, oh yeah, he went to a carnival with me and kissed me on the Ferris wheel just last week. And they were 15-year-old girls! Oh my god, it's so disgusting. Yeah, part 4 coming. This will be the last video that I make on TikTok about this. I will make a full extended YouTube video. And I'll link it somewhere here. But yeah, long story short, I was not the only one. There are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of young girls who have been used, exploited, and groomed by Destry because of his presence and because of his power and his influence that he's accumulated. And I'm really grateful for Nate. Thank you, Nate, for making your video, because if you wouldn't have, I probably would not be expressing this and sharing this to the public like I am. I've always felt like I needed to do it, and your quote about like good people standing by is what allows evil people to do what they do. And I never want to believe anyone's evil, but honestly, pedophilia is pretty fucking evil. To anyone who has been a victim, I stand with you 100%, completely. I'm here for you.
So basically, because all of this has come out, slowly there are more and more people coming out talking about the fact that Destry was essentially, and is, because I don't really think you grow out of that phase, a pedophile, because there's no reason to be talking to young girls in that type of way. There were multiple people coming forth with allegations, so it wasn't a one-off, it was many people making the case seem a lot more severe because it seemed like a pattern. Destry Smith made a video kind of apologizing for being a shit person, which, okay, cool, but there was no mention or apology for being inappropriate with minors. And in fact, this apology for being a shit person was extremely brief and very vague, which is convenient, is it not? Apologizing for something without reminding people of what you actually did, great way to be forgiven, because people will be like, oh, okay, moving on. So basically, the reason that Destry Smith was on my timeline again, as far as I understand, is only and centrally due to Shane Dawson. So Shane Dawson, as we recall, used to be I wouldn't say universally loved OG YouTuber, but he used to be very well liked, right? And then things started coming out. Then he collaborated with Jeffree Star. He's continued to collaborate with Jeffree Star, has been posting about it endlessly on social media. And people have not liked him like they once did because of the myriad of things that came out about him. Jeffree Star just being the latest addition, really. Well, it turns out that Shane Dawson hired Destry Smith as an editor for his podcast. People were not happy about this, understandably, because people are already not happy about Shane Dawson, period. Let alone Shane Dawson, who also had been accused in the past now of being inappropriate with minors, of being inappropriate with animals, of having very strange behaviors. As far as I've seen, this post has been taken down now, which is no surprise. But if you have two people who have relatively similar allegations, plus the general presence of Jeffree Star with this new series, you are really teaming up three people whose entire reputations and existence as of now are just fraught with scandal. From ridiculous scandals that are stupid and not even worth mentioning, to extremely heavy scandals, from bullying to harassment to inappropriate behavior with minors. I mean, there's just so much crap there that truly I cannot summarize in one video, but I'm assuming that if you're watching this, you do have a certain level of knowledge about what Jeffree has done, what Shane has done, and what Destry has done, all allegedly. People started bringing up again the clip of Destry Smith saying that he had been a piece of shit in his younger days, but that he wasn't these other things that people said very vaguely. Obviously, that's not verbatim, but it seems like once more Shane Dawson is involved in all of this, And part of me wonders, as much as I don't like being that person, I don't like being overly conspiratorial, but is it possible that Shane Dawson hired Destry Smith specifically because he knew that people would be talking? Now, if that was the plan, I bought into it. At the same time, do I really want to believe that someone would hire someone for the clicks, knowing that the clicks are coming from people who think this person was inappropriate with minors? AKA, would you hire someone who was known for that? Because if you were hiring just someone scandalous for silly reasons, I wouldn't really see the big deal, nothing to write home about. If you're hiring someone for the clicks due to scandals with minors, that is alarming, concerning, and a whole series of other things. It's important to note that some people also think that this is kind of a rehabilitation, quote unquote, or reintroduction for Destry Smith to come back into the limelight to some extent. Kind of a way to either erase or quote unquote get past everything that's happened relatively recently, and I personally don't think that's going to happen, because with allegations like that, they follow you for the rest of your life. They are incredibly serious allegations, so I don't think you can just come back from that. That being said, we do have to wonder, why is this happening now? What would be the point for Shane Dawson to risk getting a bunch of shit for hiring him as an editor, unless it were for clicks, unless it translated to money? I guess at this point we just have to wait and see, but as of right now, I don't know how they can expect anyone to forget or move on from what happened. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.